17 persons died in separate accident on the Kumasi Accra Highway and also the Pontema Road over the weekend. Now, we understand that 9 people were reported to have died instantly when 2 Toyota Hiace buses belonging to 2M Express collided head-on at the Brimso near the Bunso stretch of the Kumasi Highway. Now, 19 other passengers sustained various degrees of injuries. Also, 8 persons died, while 5 others are in critical conditions after a fatal accident on the Pontema Highway involving a Hyundai minibus, a Kia bus, and an articulated truck. Eastern Regional Commander of the Ghana National Fire Service, Assistant Chief Fire Officer Jennifer Yale Kwe, confirms the incident to Joy News.
They got to the scene and realized that the accident involved a MAN diesel truck and Hyundai 800. During the accident, 6 people died on the spot. This involved 4 females and 2 males. 2 were sent to Akuse Government Hospital in a critical condition who died later on. So, we had 8 reported. We say reported, 8 people died. And then there were 5 casualties, that is, others that got injured. That one involved 1 female and 4 males.
Now, these latest incidents occurred after the latest records by the National Road Safety Authority indicated that death from road accident plummeted by 15% between January and February 2023. Now, authorities were optimistic that engagement with relevant stakeholders will further reduce the rate, but with the latest development claiming 17 lives in just one weekend, what needs to be done urgently at a time that Easter celebrations are just around the corner. Let's talk to Acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Adontain, who joins us live now. Grateful that you could join us here. So tell us, what does this latest development toward the fight against road crashes on our major highway tell you or indicate to the authority?
Well, good morning, my good friends, and thank you for this opportunity. I think that we had a very bad weekend in Ghana, road, where, as you just narrated, about 17 persons have lost their lives in 2 crashes, one on the Akosombo Road Highway and the other Accra Kumasi Highway. We have gotten all the reports. We are scrutinizing, investigating the cases, but we see that it has come very unfortunately at a point where we had just released statistics for January and February, commending all the stakeholders, the police, the National Road Safety Authority, and all of us for a good job done, because we have seen some reductions comparing January and February this year to that of last year. I think this has come at a point where we are all a bit shocked and disturbed. We are worried because the level of engagement between the National Road Safety Authority and stakeholders, including these transport operators, I think it's gone to an extent that we believe that these stakeholders have given up their best. And so at this point where we are entering Easter, in 2 weeks' time, we'll all be seeing Easter, where we are gearing up to go out there, enter the road space to ensure that we all abide by the rules and regulations, and then we have this coming. But this March, the month of March has not been too good for us at all. Remember, there was one at Kintampo there, where we had another 23 persons losing their lives. I think that it's not been too good for us at all this month of March. So.
Now, sometime last year, the National Security declared the operations of some transport operators as a threat to national security due to their overspeeding, which results in the killing of passengers in accidents like we saw. There were the promises that these operators will be monitored to ensure compliance with safety regulations. Is it a case that this didn't work?
Indeed, I must say that if you look at the statistics as we put out there last week and even spoke about it on this same platform, clearly we indicated that something positive is working. And we talk about all the campaigns and the education, the advocacy, and the level of enforcement that has gone up, especially from the Ghana Police Service. But unfortunately, somehow, once in a while, you find one person coming into the road space to disturb the entire road safety management space. And that is what happened. So I must say that a lot of good things are happening. We are working very hard. But once in a while, you find these things coming. That does not mean that nothing is working at all. No. In fact, one of the critical things we're seeing is the level of speeding, travel speed. All these crashes we are talking about, the investigations are pointing to the fact that the drivers involved had one thing or the other related to speeding. And we have been talking about speeding almost every time we engage drivers, especially our transport operators. Speeding, or overspeeding as they call it, contributes to more than 60% of these fatal crashes. We think that it is about time that we have to step up our actions and interventions to ensure that motorists respect the speed limit. And I told you the last time that the police is coming up with all the electronics and then the digital and technology across the world to deploy cameras to apprehend drivers who go beyond speed limits. The past has been more of education, more of engagement, more of advocacy. I think this time around we need to go beyond that and then use technology to make sure that drivers cannot go beyond the stipulated limit. Elsewhere, the practice has been installing speed limiters within the vehicles, especially the commercial vehicles, so that they cannot go beyond limits that we will set the vehicles to go. Again, the police deploying and installing traffic cameras have also become one of the good practices across the world. And I'm not surprised that the current IGP and the police force very soon are deploying this kind of cameras across our highways. But I am also happy to note that very soon, apart from the fixed cameras, there are going to be vehicles that will be running with us, you and I, as we hit the highways. Vehicles from the police will be driving, will be moving with us. In these vehicles are cameras that will be monitoring our behavior, our speeding, in a manner that if we flout the laws or the speed limit, will be captured by cameras, and then police will use technology to follow us, apprehend us, and then get us to be forthcoming in terms of payment or fine. I think we need to go beyond where we are now, and I believe that this year there will be a change in the dynamics of road safety management.
Last year, when you mounted that electronic speed monitoring or monitor on the Tema motorway, you made mention of the fact that there were plans to get these equipment to be capturing drivers that overspeed. You're also now telling us that the police would be mounting these cameras, some of these cameras, to ensure that we control overspeeding on our highways. The question that many people will be asking is, when at all will we see these sort of monitors being set up on our roads such that we can find a way to stop this carnage? When at all will this come? We've always been talking about will soon. How soon is the soon?
I think I agree with you. These things take a lot of time. We started a couple of years ago trying to establish and institute these camera issues, and it had to go through procedures. We have now concluded all the necessary procedures. What we are left with now is the installation of the cameras, and we are looking at, before the end of this year, we will see cameras installed. We will see vehicles running around. So what you saw on the motorway, it's a lot of magic on the motorway. Now, well, it is true that we see or hear some crashes on the motorway, But it is not like before. And you know what is happening? The electronic road signs, speed limit signs that we have put on the motorway is doing a lot of magic because people can see. Now they can feel it. And they see the speed that they are running. It is showing red when you go beyond the 100 kilometers per hour, showing green when you are below. I think this is giving that kind of alertness, that awareness that we want drivers to note. And it is the prelude to these cameras that will apprehend coming soon. And I would want to assure all Ghanaians that it takes a lot of time to do. At the moment I speak to you, the Ghana Highway Authority and the Department of Urban Roads are working with the police to identify the locations where the cameras should be. And that is the practical work we are doing on the ground now. Once all these things are finished, the cameras will now be tested, and then we will now see how it will work operationally across the country and deploy them. It is not going to be beyond this year. It's a matter of time. We have had all the patience to wait. I believe that if we continue waiting, in a matter of months, these cameras are going to do a lot of good job for us as far as speed management in this country is concerned. So that is where we are currently.
Okay. So in your scheme of affairs, within which quarter should we expect this?
In fact, if I should stick out my neck, then I must say that in the last quarter of this year, somebody in Ghana driving on our roads, on our highways or in town is going to be issued with a ticket electronically telling him that or her that he has flouted a certain speed limit somewhere. The location will be given. The speed that he or she was running will be given. And he will be asked to go and pay a fine somewhere at a pay point. It should not go beyond this year because we have done the job to an extent that we are almost there. And I believe we will engage the media when the time comes for us now to see how this good news is going to be working on the ground.
What happens to these transport operators who seem to be, blatantly disregarding our traffic regulations?
You see, surprisingly, these 2M experts we are talking about, of course, our investigation is telling us that, well, one of the buses clearly came from the 2M express. Now, if it will interest you to know that currently, if you go to 2M express, which we have been monitoring all the time, they have installed cameras and systems that they can monitor their drivers 24/7 and in real time. I have been there, and we were part of the whole process where I visited and used the same system to monitor these drivers. We know their speed, we know where they overtake and when they don't, we know whether they stop or they could not stop for resting. All these things are happening in the transport sector. Currently, GPRTU of all transport operators are digitized. They are able to monitor their drivers on the roads, on the highways, wherever they are. So it's pro to us. And all the others are coming up with technology and electronic systems that they will be able to monitor their drivers. I think this particular one that came at the Bunsu stretch this weekend was very unfortunate.
Okay. All right.
Very, very unfortunate.
Okay.
But a lot of systems have been deployed, and we are doing a lot of monitoring. And I tell you, that is the more reason why we are getting those reductions. Unfortunately, one comes up to muddy the water. But I think that a lot of good things are being done.
Okay. I'm grateful to you, sir, for joining us. So that's the acting Director General of the National Road Safety Authority, Engineer David Adonting there. Now,